All right, we'd like to start the meeting, and our goal is to have this go no longer than 90 minutes tonight. So let's see if we can all chip in and do that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. All right, we will do a roll call so that we can ensure we have a quorum of the board. We will notate that Tony Pepinella, President, is absent this evening. Ira Curlin.
Present?
Ms. Colleen Kniff.
Here.
Ms. Mabel Edmonds.
Here.
We do have a quorum of the board. Notice was supplied to the community via constant contact on site and the portal July 3rd.
Thank you. Tasha, can we all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, yeah. Okay. We had our last HOA board meeting on June 26th, and we would like to now approve those meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the June 26th meeting.
I second.
Okay, I do. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Just the
We can make
board.
this, I guess, the vice president's comments for tonight. But just to preface it, many of you may know, Tony Pepinella had surgery yesterday, and he is improving slowly. He's going to hopefully get home by tomorrow, so keep him in your thoughts, please. Concerning the board meeting format, this is the first kind of official, we'll say, of having 2 meetings a month is our goal from now on. The regular board meeting will be at the last Thursday of the month, and our goal of the first Wednesday of each month will be to address violations, fines, and suspensions. If there are other acute issues that need attention right away, we'll be able to at least group as a board to discuss those. And again, we're going to attempt to keep each meeting now, since we'll have 2 a month, to 90 minutes. Thank you.
Ira, may I say something too, please?
Please, chime in.
I just want to say that I know some residents feel, well, our board meetings are long. Yes, sometimes they have to be long. I don't know if all of you realize, but we keep trying to share with you that HOAs in the state of Florida are governed by the Florida HOA statutes, specifically for all HOAs. And so boards have to do things in a certain way. And while we can send an email to each other, which we do all day, it seems, every day, and discuss items, we have to do certain things. We have to conduct board business and have votes and so forth and so on at meetings. And so while we try our best to limit the meetings, we try to be effective and efficient, we don't always succeed. So we're trying to put processes in place to streamline the amount of time we spend in meetings so that we can keep them rolling. However, sometimes it's not possible to do what we need to do as a board and keep our meetings short. So, the meetings are for the board to do its business. You, the homeowners, residents, can come and listen. We allow time at the end of the meetings to allow you to make comments and to ask questions. So please bear with us. We are trying very hard. And remember that we are volunteers and we want to do what's right, what's in the HOA statutes. And hopefully we'll do that and you'll be proud of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mabel. Concerning board members' opening The last couple of months, on the agenda has been if anyone wants to join the board for the remaining months until the next election. We've been asking that. At this point, there's basically 2 months left until the next election. So as a board, we decided we're just going to keep going as we are. There's so much going on, and to try to integrate someone else into all the activity right now would be a little difficult and probably unfair for someone to come here, because whoever would step up now would then have to rerun in September anyway, because they'd be fulfilling the remaining time that Bill Krimmel had. So, and that segues a little bit into the next election. So the next board election will be scheduled for September 25th. And Tasha will be mailing out a postcard similar to what we did last year to notify the whole community for those that did not elect electronic transmission. Those who did elect electronic transmission will receive an email to that state. So again, we encourage anyone who didn't elect into select electronic transmission, please do. It just makes the whole process more seamless.
And if I could add one more thing too.
Yes.
One of the other things that we as board members must do is we must be certified to be a member of the board of directors in the state of Florida. And there are specific courses, a specific course we have to take, classes. And so if someone, just came on to the board, they would have to take that certification. So it just seems to make sense to wait, have all individuals interested go through the vetting process that we've used in the past, which seems to have been very thorough and comprehensive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mabel. Under announcements, I'm going to ask Michael Leonard to please speak a little bit about what the upcoming electronic vote, first time, so we made a lot of progress, and we're very excited to see how that goes.
Okay. All right. The light is on. Yep, the light is on. I'll just take a couple of minutes just to tell you that we're very excited about this election. We're going to be stepping into the 21st century. We're going to be voting electronically. And again, I want to remind everybody that we had 840 people sign up for electronic voting. I'm hoping that everyone will take advantage of that. There is only one thing. We had a meeting, the subcommittee of the Board of Election. One person said, have you addressed with Vote HOA Now, that's the company we're using, what happens if somebody has a VPN, virtual private network? There are some people here, they have a lot of technology experience, and they have a lot of things they want to keep to themselves. And so around the 17th of July, we're going to be opening up the voting, and there's also going to be some people who are going to get mailings for all the election materials because they didn't sign up for electronic transmission. And by the way, that's different than electronic voting. I think that's what confused some people. So they will notify you, the community, that starting on the 17th, I believe, of July, is when we're going to start the electronic voting. It'll be on for about 2 weeks. But here's one of the things I want you to be aware of. If you have a virtual private network, please make sure that you can look for that email coming from Vote HOA Now. That's going to be an email that invites you to vote. You'll be asked to use a special number to put down information about yourself, and that is just to verify that you are a member of Webb Bexley and are voting in this election. Then after that, you will get the ballots and all the information that's related to the election. Everything you're going to hear over the next few days at educational sessions, and as you're going to get things in the email. All of that is going to be on the website. If you don't get something, let's say a couple of days goes by, you've checked your spam, and you've checked your junk, and you've checked your VPN, please let Tasha know. Tasha is the representative for the community to vote HOA now, and they can ascertain what the problem is and get you on, okay? This is going to be a very exciting time. It's also going to be the first time, so please be kind. It may not go exactly the way we want it, but I will tell you this, it is the most accessible and most reflective way that you can vote, because everything is open. It's all there for you to do, and you don't have to worry about having 2 envelopes. You don't have to worry about coming to a ballot box. It's there, you vote, you're part of the process, and you are part of the quorum. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing how everything works out, and God bless you. Just hit that. Yes.
I would like to thank the entire Governing Docs Committee and the Subcommittee on Elections who have been working on this since last January. It's taken an awful lot of going back and forth, getting board approval, getting everything set up, and they have put in an enormous amount of work so that we can be at home and just click, click, go have dinner. So thank you to the Governing Docs Committee for that.
All right, let's move on to board review of levying fines and/or suspensions. I'd like to speak on this just a little bit. You're going to notice over the next few meetings that we're going to be, we may possibly have no proof of insurance listed as some of the violations. This go round we did 50 at a time, not to overwhelm the community, the board, and management as well. So out of the 50, we are only reviewing 4 for no proof of insurance, which means out of those 50, only 4 did not turn it in. So what happens if the board does levy the fine? A certified notice is sent out to the resident, 14 days, certified in regular mail, informing them that there is a compliance meeting coming up. So of course, anyone on this list or anyone that has not complied will still have the opportunity to do so. The fine is not officially approved until the compliance committee says so. So let's start with account number 24698255. This would be a C1 for a fine of $100 for no proof of insurance.
I make a motion that we levy a fine, C1 fine for no proof of insurance to account number 24698255.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Account 24698343, no proof of insurance. This is a C1 violation for a fine of $100.
I make a motion that we assess a C1 fine of $100 to account 24698343 for no proof of insurance.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Account 24697891. This is for bringing children outside of children's hours to the pool. This violation can stand as a fine and/or up to a 30-day amenity suspension.
Tasha, can I ask you to share a little bit more regarding why it was felt this particular violation warranted not only a $100 fine, but also the 30-day suspension?
Yes, I can. Management spoke to this family at this address on 2 separate occasions. The first time, the family did leave within about a 15-minute time frame. No violation was issued at that time. Second occurrence happened where the family did not leave the pool area when asked to do so.
And I believe there were other extenuating circumstances where they said, go ahead and fine me?
That is the case, and there was also an incorrect name given to management at that time.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And I-
given the extenuating circumstances, that's why both the fine and the suspension, I feel, are warranted.
Yeah, and I want to say, we do not, as a board, we don't want to levy fines and suspensions against all of us because we're all homeowners. Now, we do know sometimes we may forget something or we have to be reminded, and for some it's reminded often. However, when you receive a notice indicating, or first of all, you're going to receive the warning, if you will. The information will be shared that you are doing something that is in violation of our governing documents. And that's how we are governed by HOA governing documents. And so when this happens, and when there are extenuating circumstances, yes, the fine and the suspension we feel might be warranted. So please, 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 let's do our best not to have a violation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mabel.
I make a motion that we fine and suspend for 30 days account number 24697891 for bringing children outside of pool hours and staying after they were warned.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Account 24697699, no proof of insurance. This is a C1 violation with a $100 fine.
I make a motion that we issue a C1 $100 fine to account 24697699 for no proof of insurance.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one is going to be 2461037728, no proof of insurance. This is a C1 fine with a $100 maximum.
I make a motion that we issue a C1 $100 fine to account 2461037728 for no proof of insurance.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's all I had. All right, you're next.
Thank you. Now, old business that has graduated a little bit to be at our meeting today. First discussion on old business has to do with our thought of having a truist loan to help us with our community, and Colleen will speak to that.
Okay, just start by saying that we did speak about this before, and subsequent to the initial conversation, it was determined that our articles of incorporation do require a community vote on getting this loan. And the reason is because we are in the loan documents agreeing that if we don't repay the loan, the bank could come after our assessment income, your HOA dues, so that we can pay, so they get their money back. And given that is what is offered as collateral against the loan, it does require a vote, and you will see it in the vote documents. Now, to talk a little bit about the loan, it is a maximum $506,000 loan. The way it's constructed is similar to a line of credit. We do not have to take the funds, but we are able to take the funds up to the $506,000. And we do have a definite use case to pay for the maintenance vehicle that we want to purchase for the maintenance person. It is a heavy-duty maintenance vehicle that has a winch on the front that can help us in the event of a storm like we had last year with the trees that fell down and other kind of fence work that needs to be done. That's a known. The rest of the loan, we're looking at all of the landscaping and irrigation issues that we need to correct. So saying that we want to fix them now before the issues progress. The longer we wait to fix the irrigation, the more the lawns deteriorate. And if we wait till we gather enough cash from the HOA dues, we would have to do those fixes over and throughout 2026. But if we have liquidity, then we are able to make the fixes quicker and stop, I'll say, the bleeding from some of these issues. The other issue is that we want to develop a credit rating. We originally were going to finance this vehicle through the company that we were buying the vehicle from, Kubota, but we don't have any credit, so they would not issue us a loan against the vehicle for us to pay it off over time. That's when we first talked to the bank about getting the financing from them for the vehicle. They offered a $100,000 line of credit, which eventually turned into this up to $500,000 loan. The way the loan works is we pay interest only over the first 2 years, and then we start paying the principal and interest back over the next 3 years. At that time, at 3 years, when we start paying the principal back, we believe we'll have all the major fixes done. So there will be no increase to the HOA fees to pay this loan back. So we believe that it is in the best interest of the community to approve the loan when it comes to you for the vote.
Thank you, Colleen. The next item of old business is the ISP update, and Colleen is going to speak on the financial analysis that was made to get us to this point. Oh, do we not have that?
Before I take you through some of the math on the financial calculation, I just want to give you the big overall view of the financials, which is we did get from Spectrum what the average homeowner is paying Spectrum today for internet and TV plus internet. So overall, both the deal from Spectrum and Hotwire would save the average homeowner in here that is only buying internet. So we have 97% of the community that buys internet from Spectrum, and the average price they pay is $82 a month. So when you look at that $82 a month that 97% of us pay versus what Spectrum offered, which is a bulk purchase price for TV plus internet of $62. The average homeowner who's only paying for internet still saves $20 a month when this goes into effect. And they get TV services on top if they want them. The average homeowner who buys Spectrum TV plus internet is paying $176 a month. That homeowner under the bulk deal would still only pay $62 a month in the first year of the agreement. If we go to Hotwire, their price tag was $69.44. So compared to the $82, it would still be a savings under Hotwire. So that's the big takeaway. If you don't understand the rest of the math I'm going to talk about, please remember that overall, for most of the community, 97% that buy Spectrum Internet, there is a savings. But we had to determine who were we going to recommend from the overall financial impact to the community, and we did that by looking at the total cost of the contract. We looked at it several ways, one over a similar time frame, because these two contracts are over two differing terms. The Spectrum contract is an 8.5-year contract, while the Hotwire contract doesn't go into effect until the fiber build is done. So the year one of the Hotwire contract plus the term really makes it more like a 9-10-year contract, depending on how long the fiber build takes. But when you look at the $62 a month in the first year, every year the max increase is 4%. So in the second year of the Spectrum contract, I have to go back to my notes. The price would increase to $64.48 per month. In year 3, there's a maximum possibility of another 4% increase, so the monthly rate would go up to $67.06, and so on until you get to the 9th year, when the monthly fee would be $84.85 if the max 4% was used every year. So when you add all the 9 years costs together, overall, the total community payment out will be $6,692,560. That cash out of the HOA homeowner's pocket is offset by a door fee that Spectrum pays to the HOA. That door fee is $510,000, and we have to pay $85,000 of that to the consultants that helped us get these deals done. So net, we would have $425,000 coming back to the HOA. And we were able to structure that differently than Spectrum first offered, because their first offer was a lump sum of cash, which then we would have to pay 30% taxes on. Instead, they are going to pay us out over time, and we will not have to pay taxes. So that saves us over $127,000 that remains with the HOA instead of being paid out as taxes. We compared the 6.692 less the $425,000, which is a total of 6,267, to what it would have cost to homeowners who use Spectrum if they maintained their current packages, internet only or internet plus TV, also increasing those costs at 4% a year, which is probably conservative because these prices that we're paying today, I think, are a little bit lower. We have new residents on promotions. Those promotions kind of cliff and come off more quickly. But if we use the same math of 4% a year and people stayed with their packages, the cost would be $14 million to the homeowners. So comparing the $14 million to the $6 million, we're saving about $8 million over the contract period with the Spectrum offer. Now, when we look at the Hotwire offer, when we say, okay, we do the same thing, they offered us the $69.44 at 4% a year at the end of the 9th year. That would be $95 that we would be paying per homeowner per month, versus the Spectrum at the end of year 9 is $85. So $10 per month per homeowner, higher cost on the Hotwire deal. Now, over the course of the 9 years, then, the homeowners would pay $7.7 million under the Hotwire deal. However, the fee, the door fee that Hotwire offered is $300,000 higher than the Spectrum fee. So net, the deal, you're comparing the 7.4 now to the 6.7, so we save about $700,000 more on the Spectrum deal versus the Hotwire deal. And the Hotwire deal does have that extra year of commitment, so that would be another $1 million if we were to say the overall contract term would cost us another $1 million. Net, when we look at the nominal cash out of hand for 9 years, the Spectrum offer is $738,000 cheaper than the Hotwire deal. Remembering, overall, both deals will save everybody in here money. The bulk buy is a lower cost alternative to what you're currently paying if you are a Spectrum user, which for internet is 97% of the homeowners.
Thank you, Colleen. Could you repeat that one more time, please? Great job in analyzing that. I was just going to give kind of a quick overview of kind of where we're getting to when we do the vote, just to show you how we got here. General comments with whoever we would go to for a bulk agreement. Fiber to the home brings faster internet speeds, more reliable internet service, clearer pictures, and better voice quality. Each company offered a door fee of several thousands of dollars that we could put towards mitigation of what we have in our community. A brand new fiber infrastructure will have a direct positive effect to some degree on our home values compared to maintaining the current coaxial cable. And a fiber infrastructure is underground and protected to a greater degree from hurricanes and other weather conditions. So this is kind of where we started this endeavor, knowing after a short time that having a fiber infrastructure in our community as opposed to maintaining the coaxial infrastructure is a big advantage. Just to, Colleen mentioned some of this, but I already wrote it down just to tie it together. The current spectrum usage in our community is 97, and we got this from Spectrum itself, 97% internet, 56% have internet plus TV, 23% have a landline, and 20% use Spectrum Mobile. Again, the average internet cost per homeowner is $82, and those of us that have TV along with the internet, the average cost is $92. So if you put those two together real quick, that's $174 average compared to what we can obtain with a bulk agreement. Back in November, we had, right before Thanksgiving, we had a survey. 56% of the community wanted at that point a TV plus internet package. 24% wanted internet only. And 20% said, I don't want either one. And just from conversing with a handful of the 20%, I believe back then, there was very little education that was done in the community up to that point. So I don't think they knew what to decide because there wasn't enough facts. Items that we still need to complete as of today is we need to get the final contract and service level agreement. We need to engage an HOA ISP attorney, and we believe there is one at Becker Poliakoff. We're waiting to hear who that is to make sure that from a legal standpoint, they review these documents. And just as a side note here, when we had the May 27th presentations, I had requested homeowners to submit their questions, and there were great questions all over the spectrum. Well, oh, sorry for the pun. Sorry. All over the community. Okay. With whether it was had to do with internet or the services or television, whatever. And I hope you know, and I apologize, this is on me that we didn't get the answers out quicker. Chris Hatch helped expedite that. Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. So you should have received an email with the questions, who asked the question, thank you very much, what the question was, and how the three different internet providers answered that question. That was a very good gauge to see, who may have done something differently, obviously, and maybe more advantageous to us. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I make a comment. So when, as Ira said, these materials are all available to the homeowners, and there are education sessions scheduled.
Yes.
If anyone looks at the documents and still has questions, one is tomorrow and one is on Friday. So, because this is something that everyone in the community is going to vote on, whether or not they want us to move forward with the Spectrum bulk buy deal or not.
And I wanted to also say that the Governing Documents Committee has done an excellent job over the past years as they've tried to provide educational workshops regarding issues that we're considering when there's a need to make changes to our documents and also just to provide information to you regarding how we operate here in the community. And so once again, they have pulled together the workshops, and they've even expanded it to include the Zoom opportunity. And so, and not to mention sending out alerts. And so I think we've really tried our best to educate the community. And so we're looking forward to all of us taking advantage of these different opportunities to attend these educational sessions, ask questions, make comments, and share with our neighbors. And so that hopefully is the approach that the board is trying and will use whenever we have a topic that needs to be addressed in our community. The great model.
Wonderful, Mabel, thank you. Just an update on OLM. OLM is a landscape management company that Property and Grounds started to interview and look into how they may be able to benefit our community. It has lingered a little bit, very frankly. Part of that is that OLM provides two functions as far as their company profile. One is, for a certain fee, they would evaluate the results of whoever that is, our current landscaper. So it's almost like a third eye or whatever on the community. They would give us a report. They would come about 6 or 7, 8 hours a month, provide us with a report, what was good, what was bad. They would rate it, and that would go back to the board and to the landscape company to try to make improvements for the following month, and this would be done month after month. The second service, so to speak, that they provide is to oversee an RFP. Yeah. You hear me now? Okay. A request for proposal. Last February, several members of the Property and Grounds Committee, as volunteers, interviewed 9 landscape companies, and we went through that process before we made a selection in June. But this company would do it on a more, I guess, professional and knowledgeable way to evaluate various landscape companies. So if we get to that, if we decide that we want to interview other landscape companies, they would oversee that. So this has gone on, I guess, for a while. So what we did, I asked Tasha yesterday, based on Dan Bell asking me, is we're going to get updated proposals from OLM for their monthly inspection and their RFP process, and then we're going to talk more about this at the July 31st meeting. Okay?
So I just want to make it clear, we are not indicating that we will select such a management company.
No.
We're just still in the process of fact-finding, collecting information. And it seems, am I to understand that there are services that individual services that we can contract for, as opposed to having the whole management portfolio? Is that?
In reference to the actual landscape vendor?
No.
No, I'm sorry.
In considering a management company.
Oh, management company?
Is there an opportunity to maybe select individual services that are provided as opposed to the entire package? That's a question that I have.
Dan or Julene, do you know that answer? I'm thinking it's the whole package.
This is that there are 2 separate and distinct services that are being considered. One is the overall landscape management from OLM, and the other is, do we want them to run an RFP process for us for a new landscaper? So we're going to get quotes, updated quotes for both of those services, and then we'll talk about it more.
Okay. Because one of the things that I would like to request as we're having this discussion and deciding how to move forward is, I'd like to know what is the process that's used for monitoring the services we are receiving from our landscape company, which now is Yellowstone.
Right.
And how are the crews being supervised?
Right.
So I know that Property and Grounds has a process. They're involved in assisting the community with that issue.
yes.
Okay, now, so it would be good for us to be able to see, Property and Grounds does this, Tasha as management does this, and then Yellowstone and their people do this.
Right.
And so as we explore the services, that's something that I would
Yes.
like to see. Thank you.
I can say that OLM, as far as their proposal for the monthly monitoring, has a fairly detailed line items that we are going to do this, this, and this, and they actually produce a scorecard. Okay? So that's what's the basis for evaluating. It's maybe slightly subjective, but in an objective sense, they're rating, this function gets an 85, this function gets a 92.
And I would add that, as I understand it, if we employ them, then there's a holdback. So if the landscaper doesn't meet the minimum requirements for the report card, then they don't get paid a certain amount. So, and then you have a professional assessing and talking to them about what they did wrong and why we're holding back payment.
And I appreciate all of the work that the Property and Grounds Committee has done to collect information, and I have read the information we've received. But I'm asking, while I read the information, I'm asking on behalf of the community in that we all need to know who's doing what, where, and when. So
Yes.
that's where I am. Thank you.
I'm counting on once we get the updated proposals, we'll be able to discuss this in more detail at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. We do have some appeals that have come to the board for review. The first one is account number 24697848 in the business of hurricane shutters and a denied architectural application. This one was previously tabled, so it has been requested to be brought back to the board.
I'll just give my 2 cents. So originally, I was going to say, yes, we'll agree to this, but understanding that there's going to be a community vote on this issue that they're appealing on the 31st, then I say we wait for the community vote and we act in accordance with the community vote. In other words, if the community votes, yes, the shutters can match the shades and there can be 2 shades on a house, then we will approve this appeal. But for now, we're denying it. Or that's my position.
And I agree with that.
Oh, sometimes it's very tough being up here. It's a lot easier being over there. The board, as a certain rule, should not accept an appeal that the ARC committee ruled on. Otherwise, what's the sense of having an ARC committee to make these decisions? And this really is about potentially, if it was each one of our homes, this is safety of our home. What if we get a hurricane next week? And this has been going on in this particular case since January. And the ARC task force that Mabel and I are a part of are reviewing the entire design guidelines. And we did come up with making what we believe is the right thing to do for the hurricane shutters. So this particular person would have to reapply to ARC for the beginning of August and should get approval in the next 4 weeks. So as much as I want to accept this appeal, I think I'm going to go with what Colleen said. It's just another 4 weeks. The shutter guideline better pass this community. No, I'm sorry. I know I can't force you, but it just makes sense. So I'm going to have to go with not accepting the appeal, but that this is going to be full speed ahead right after the ARC committee meeting in August.
And, I will add something. I mentioned earlier that in an HOA, because we live in an HOA, and because we are governed by our governing documents, our declarations, our bylaws, our articles of incorporation, our ARC guidelines, so forth and so on, and we knew that we had such documents. We signed saying that we understood that. And while, no, they aren't perfect, while we also realize that there needs to be some tweaking, as you mentioned, that's why we have been working every week, meeting for hours to update them and to listen to the comments, suggestions from the community. And so we're in that process. We're almost to the point of the community voting, because, as we mentioned, there are certain things in our documents, certain rules or whatever, the board can just make a change. However, there are other documents that require a vote of the community, and there is a process for that, and that's also laid out in our governing documents, and it's laid out in how we should do things in the Florida statutes. And so, I realize that some residents may feel that we're being unfair, but as we've all stated, we're trying to follow our governing documents and Florida statutes. So we do.
Okay. I make a motion that we deny the appeal for account 246-978-48 for the hurricane shutters.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, account number 24698255. Homeowner was previously fined $100 for dog being off the leash. An appeal has been sent to the board to remove that $100 fine.
I'll give my 2 cents here if you want. On this one, I feel strongly that a dog off leash is an infraction that cannot be cured. However, the letter that we sent out gave this person time to cure the infraction. And they provided a picture of their dog on a leash within that time. So because we provided a cure period and they proved their cure, I think on this one, we have to approve the appeal, even though, and what we've done going forward is this kind of infraction, which is not curable in my mind. Once you have your dog off your leash, you can't say you didn't. That's the infraction. That's the rule. Have your dog on a leash. From now on, those infractions will not have a cure clause, and they will be enforced on the spot.
And I'll also add that after, as Tasha has tried to explain at each of our board meetings, where we've considered violations and the levying of fines and suspensions, there's we have a policy, a compliance policy that was approved by the board last year, and we said that we would do things in a certain way. And so we have to adhere to that process. And I feel we have done that. And so the fine was levied. The compliance committee they held a hearing, because that's also part of the process. And their only role is to say, yes, we approve this fine, or no, we don't. And that's basically to review that the board that staff did everything they should regarding this violation, and that the board did everything we should regarding the violation. And the homeowner has an opportunity to come at that time. Now, since the hearing, and the compliance committee did say that they approved the fine, since that time, we've had a small group representation from governing documents as well as a retired attorney advisor who we're using and myself to sit down and review all of the notices that are sent out, the processes, and we've made recommendations to staff. And since that has been done, in the future, we will be adhering to those recommendations. And so and plus, we also in this case did get, which we try to do, we received an opinion from our attorney. And as we've done our research, we did find that there are some violations that are curable, meaning homeowners can correct them. But then there are some others that are classified as incurable. And so the board, as well as certain committee leads and co-leads, will be participating in a workshop with our attorney so that we can really review everything we're doing and then fine tune the way we do things. So once again, we are making every effort to do things in the correct way according to the statute. So I just wanted to share an update because that's the purpose of this discussion. And so.
Thank you, Mabel.
Can I just point, there's no homeowner comments till the very end. So please take a seat, right?
Can I interject though? Because for appeals, we can provide an opportunity for the homeowner who is involved in the situation to address it.
We haven't established the decision
Are you the
yet.
homeowner
Are
with
you
the dog?
Wait,
Yeah. So why don't you say what you have
well,
to say, Ira?
Colleen took the words right out of my mouth. This is another one of those, oh boy, because once a dog is off a leash, you can't put it back on the leash as if it wasn't on the leash, right? I think that makes sense. But what we've been guided by our attorney, and we've had a fair amount of discussion on this, is basically we need to just vote on this and consider it and then have
Let it
done.
go this time, and we change the document. It will never happen again.
Right.
It will be an immediate violation. There is no cure for a dog off leash.
Right. So I will make a motion to.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Why don't we listen
Oh,
to what
well, I
he
thought
has
we're
to
supposed
say?
to.
No.
Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
3-minute time limit.
Yeah, before we vote.
Sorry, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Schmidt, 5828 Shorebird Branch. My dog was.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you, so.
5828 Shorebird Branch. Schmidt. My dog, yes, was off the leash. I admit it. But I wasn't on your property. I was on CDD property and not on your property. Excuse me. It's a county doesn't have anything to do with you fining me. County has, I was
Please,
on.
no comments. We have to
The-
give Mr. Schmidt his minutes.
The CDD I talked to, and they said, there's no fining process for anybody on or off a leash. And secondly, when I got this fine, I had said, no problem, I will put my dog on a leash. I had no problem with that. If that's what you need, that was fine with me. But I was not on your property. And I told the committee before, I was not on your property. And you have a picture of me not on your property. And if I was on, it doesn't matter, I'm not on your property. If I was in New York and took my dog off the leash, this property cannot fine me.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for your.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. We understand and we appreciate what you said. Thank you.
Is the board ready to officially make a motion?
I believe so.
I make a motion that we grant the appeal of the waiver of the fine for dog off leash to account 246-98255.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next
And
account
Tasha,
number?
you want to share what will happen next, in the next step?
Absolutely. Any appeals, whether it be approval or denial, the homeowner will receive this notification via mail, letting them know what the board decision was.
And I hope this is an example of, okay, it happened, we got to get through it, but please, let's not have anyone do that. Thank you.
All right, the next account number is 3820007, waiver of a fine for removing curbing. This homeowner was previously fined $100 for the improper installation of curbing.
Can you provide us a step out what happened after?
Absolutely. So the day before the compliance meeting, I met with this homeowner. I went down to the home, expressed what was out of compliance. The next day, the compliance meeting was held. The fine was upheld, the amount of $100. Over that weekend, the homeowner sent proof that he had removed the curbing to my email and provided photos, and I did an inspection as well.
So my view on this is, yes, it should have been done on time. It was done 1 or 2 days late. So I think that we should waive the fine for the curbing.
And because I am the board liaison to the compliance committee, I will share with you that there still remains some confusion regarding the role of the compliance committee. And while Tasha, as well as myself, we tried to share that the compliance committee only has one role. And homeowners still feel that, and as Tasha said, they knew that they needed to make this correction. However, they felt they wanted to come to the hearing and share what happened. Well, the process really means that you need to you need to cure the violation prior to coming to the hearing. And some people still feel, as this couple did, that they could come, share the information, and there might be the chance of a different conclusion. However, once they came and they saw the process in action, they shared their information, and the committee said that, everything was done correctly. And so, yes, you should be fine. And so they accepted that, they went home, and from what we understand, they took care of everything. And so, we're still trying to educate the community regarding that role of the compliance committee, and the fact that if you come to the meeting, it doesn't mean that there's going to be a change in the violation. So I agree
And speaking
with you.
to that, Ms. Mabel, also, if there's ever any notices sent, communication is key. If an extension is required, or if there's a question about why am I receiving this notice, before we get to this point of board vote or compliance review, an email or stop by the office and speak to me, and I can always add clarification and notes to the system, about compliance.
Yeah, because I have been now, as I was the lead for a compliance committee, and now that I'm the board liaison, I've been at the hearings when the committee was going to hear a case, and before the hearing started, the hearing started at 4:30 on the fourth Thursday, and I think an hour before, in one situation, an hour before, the homeowner contacted you and said, this is evident, we have a photo, we've taken care of it. And so there was no hearing,
Right.
simply because it was done prior to the hearing. And that's our goal.
Right.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, is the board ready to make a motion?
I will make a motion that for account 382007, that we appeal, excuse me, we accept the appeal for the waiver of fine for removing curbing.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. On July 31st, we've alluded to this, there will be a community vote for passing certain amendments, please, for voting on the truest loan that Colleen presented and the decision on the ISP recommendation. I do feel I need to, for the community's sake and for my sake, just have a few words here. I was involved with the initial I shouldn't say investigation, but the interviewing for the ISP, because we came into this community with retail agreement and we had no choice. And the thought was at the time that a bulk agreement would benefit us. And many of you have spoken to me over the last 16 months or so, and it may appear that I'm biased or I have my own agenda on this. I never approached it with this. I just approached it as we need a good solution for our community. And I have been involved as Chris Hatch, Tony Agati, Jim Martello, for many months. And frankly, I was elected back in October, I feel, to represent this community, not myself. And in evaluating this over many months, I'm just going to say it, I've had some reservations and some concerns going with Spectrum. And I've internalized those to a certain degree where I haven't been able to just completely go with them, have them go away. That doesn't mean that Spectrum by any means is going to be a bad choice, but just from what I've experienced, I've had the most contact for anyone in this community with the providers and with the consultants. So I just have to go on full record that I had approached this, and I still approach this, as trying to get the best solution for our community. And that'll be it. If you have any questions or you want to speak to me afterwards, I'll be happy to, but that's just, but again, going with Spectrum, we're going to get fiber, we're going to get a door fee, we're going to get increased internet speeds, the whole shebang that we're going to go through at the educational sessions coming up tomorrow and Friday. So I hope that so many of you can come attend. It's tomorrow at 10 o'clock to 12, and Friday evening from 6:30 to 8:30. And based on we had a meeting of the ad hoc group on Monday the 30th, and based on negotiations going on with Spectrum over the last week, things have gone in a very good direction for us, I'll say that. So with that being said, the board needs to recommend if we're going to have an ISP on the ballot for a membership vote on July 31st.
I make a motion that we have a board recommendation of Spectrum as our internet service provider on the ballot for July 31st.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. And the second vote for the board tonight is to add the truest loan to the ballot for the membership vote on July 31st.
I make a motion that we add Truist to the ballot for the vote on July 31st, that we get a maximum $506,000 loan.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. And I'll just add, if those of you who may not have seen the ballot information go out, yet for the truest loan, there's going to be a description, and we're going to again have education coming on that will say, are you in favor, yes or no, that we go with the truest loan? For the ISP, you're going to vote, yes, I'm in favor of the community going forward with a bulk agreement for spectrum, or no, I'm not in favor of the community going forth with a ISP choice for spectrum. So it's spectrum, yes, spectrum, no, just so you'll see on the ballot. Okay? Anything else? Okay. So we'll open it up for homeowner comments, but before we have comments, I want to emphasize that we're having educational sessions on the amendments, on the truest loan and the ISP for 2 hours tomorrow and 2 hours on Friday. So we would much prefer that you not ask questions about these two line items on the agenda. We can't stop you from doing that, but we're not going to answer any questions tonight. We're going to reserve the question and answer session for those two educational sessions coming up, but feel free to comment away. And it's three. Yeah, and we have our official timekeeper, 3 minutes, and when you're done, stepping up to the podium, kindly come to the desk here and sign in that you had a comment or you had your 3 minutes. Tony?
After we speak?
Yeah, we were going to.
Yeah, after,
Okay.
while you're speaking, you have to run back and forth. No,
Sorry, and for a max of 25 minutes?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Hi, Tony Gambino, 19805 Seaglass Circle. I'm on ARC and also Property and Grounds. I just wanted to give everybody a little background on on what happened with OLM, the reason for it. I don't think Mabel was involved too much with the Rainmaker meetings that much, but we have gone very deep into this whole situation. So the bottom line is, I was one of the ones that really pushed Rainmaker to come. I was responsible to call all around the communities that they were in. Well, we no longer have Rainmaker here. It's Yellowstone. They sold the company, and we don't know who they are. And in those meetings, we had the district manager come and say, and I looked at him, I go, well, who are you? You know, and because I didn't know him, we didn't vet him, we didn't do anything. So Rainmaker, Yellowstone just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, they showed up on our property, and we had no idea what communities they went in, anything like that. I am a big proponent of OLM. And because of that fact, I just wanted to share with you that we no longer have them too much anymore. It's not really Rainmaker anymore, it's Yellowstone. And so before we even think about, the OLM is a company that checks everything that they do. You know, there's a lot of things that we see that are wrong here, and they're saying that they'll check out their own stuff. I mean, that district manager sat there and trashed any company like OLM because they don't want anybody going and looking over their shoulders. It's like and they said, well, we'll supply somebody. And that's not what we're about. Okay, I'm going to let that one go and just talk about the truest loan. Everybody knows everybody knows I'm pretty much involved in the property and grounds around the whole area, outside the community, all that stuff. We don't know what we go up against sometimes. We had the spa go bad on us because of a lightning strike. So we had no idea what that was going to be about. We had no idea how much it was going to cost. This loan will give us a cushion, will at least give us the availability to say, okay, we have credit with any company that comes in. Okay, so, and we don't have, if you know anything about these loans, we don't have to use the whole 500. We can use 50,000 of it, and then we can pay that back. And we only get charged on that 50,000. So it's that simple, you know. And the other part of it is, yeah, we were going to buy the Kubota with that, but we had no credit. And we have to establish credit. It's so important. And nobody wants their HOA fees to go up on things, but, you know, this is what it is. Okay, so the bottom line is this. We have the spa. We just found out today that the spa. Okay,
But great points. Thank you very much, Tony.
okay.
Good.
Bob Bloomfield, 19091 Coastal Shore Terrace. My first comment will be as a resident. I am against the OLM, to be honest with you. Number one, I've been in two communities. I was on the board for 6 years on one community. We have a property management company, and I love Tasha to death. Whoops. However, we have a property management company, and their job should be, and has been in all my other communities, to manage our property. And part of that is to manage our landscape company. If they're not doing a job, they should be out there doing their inspection. They should be getting reports. The golf cart sits there all day. We bought a golf cart, and I never see it gone. So they should be out there doing violations, and they should be monitoring our landscape company. So I'm against the OLM. I think it's a waste of money. My second comment is as a GDC lead. I want to correct the gentleman talking about the CDD. If you read our documents, it is in our documents that CDD property is governed by the CDD. Hopefully you give me a few more seconds. The CDD property is governed by HOA governing documents. The rules and regulations within the confines of our gates are all governed by, and I'm getting a nod by one of the CDD members, that all HOA guidelines are effective for CDD property. Also, what many people mention, Pasco County also has a policy, a law that there is no dogs off a leash. So dogs shouldn't be off a leash, period, number one. But number two, again, HOA bylaws and declarations cover CDD property.
Ken Seplow, 4689 Ballast Crest Cove. I apologize, I was out of town and I missed the last board meeting where I believe this was discussed, but what is the legal basis for having the ISP come to a community vote? I was under the impression that you as the board, you're our fiduciaries, this is definitely going to be a financial savings for us, so why can't the board make the decision themselves? Why does this have to come to a vote?
Ken, as much as I want to answer that tonight, if you can come to one of the sessions, like we said, because we're not, by design, we're not answering questions tonight, but it's a wonderful question. If you can come there, we'll answer any questions at the educational sessions. Me. Thank you.
Anita Todd, 5613 Baytown Court. Bob stole my thunder. Pasco County dogs are required to be on a leash when off their owner's property. This has been in effect for a number of years, so it doesn't matter if they're on CDD land, if they're across the street in that hayfield over there. They're required to be on a leash at all times. And I second Bob's thing about the OLM. I can sit on my patio every morning that they mow my yard, and I can see violation after violation. Let me know who I should send my pictures to, and I'll be glad to share them. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
I'm Greg Jorgensen, 4777 Archboard Place. I know there are two items coming up for vote. It was mentioned earlier this evening that the ARC recommendations that were made and approved by the board last time are also going to be voted on? Why are they being voted on? Aren't those the types of things that the board can decide on their own?
I'll be happy to answer that after the meeting, if that's okay, but there was a rationale for doing it that way.
Okay. I know there was one that still has to go through legal or something like that, but there was a bunch of stuff that said that the board said they could just approve, and they approved them all, and then there was one other one that...
Again, if it's okay, I'll be happy to speak to you after the meeting.
Okay, thank
but
you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bob Biller, 4764 Archboard Place, and I have a comment on both issues that are coming up for a vote. The first one being the ISP. which personally I'm in favor of. What I read, though, I'm going to talk loud because there's too much interference with that. What I read in the email we just got the other day was that we will be, as part of that, paying a consultant $85,000 to choose an ISP, to help us in negotiating, choosing with an ISP company. And just for the future, for the board, I think that's ludicrous, okay? I lived in Long Island, as you know, and when it came time to choosing my SP company, I got the figures from 3, I charted it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do that. We negotiated, and we negotiate every year with Spectrum right now on our fees. I don't see why we have to pay a consultant $85,000, and if the board agreed to that, I think they should reconsider in the future any agreements they make of that nature, and at least make the community aware that we're paying that kind of money. We could use that money here, very much, right? Number one, in terms of the contract for the landscape management company, well, we all have eyes, we have ears, we have cell phones, okay? We're smart enough to know what the company is doing well and what they're not doing well. And we have a management company that can handle it, and a board that can see if, and attorneys that can see if they're living up to their contract. If they're not, we should withhold money from them. Or say that they're breaking it, go through legal channels, and throw them out and get a new one. I don't see where we have to pay double. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob Waters, 19219 Iron Topsail Isle. Bob Waters, 19219 Iron Topsail Isle. On the agenda, there was the truth relationship was presented as a loan. Is it a loan or a line of credit? Because I've determined to use line of credit in the discussion tonight.
It's, they don't call it a line of credit at Truist, is what I can say. But yes, the terms are that we don't have to draw it all down, so it acts like a line of credit.
Okay, so there's no obligation if we never draw on that particular relationship.
Correct.
And what is the term of that?
It's 5 years, 2 years interest only, 3 years interest plus principal.
Okay, none of which applies if we don't draw.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a fee for this accommodation?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's noted in the documents that were handed out.
Yeah. Bob, again, if these are great questions, but like I said, we want to reserve questions for the educational sessions. That's what they're designed for. And we'll be happy to answer them then.
All right, thank you.
Okay? Because we want, honestly, we want as many of the residents to attend these educational sessions. Governing Documents Committee put a lot of effort into a PowerPoint presentation and is going to explain this in much more detail than we can at the board meeting. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Benita.
Hi, Sandy Friedman. Where do I live? 5167 Dockyard. What's the good of doing all of this if the irrigation isn't working? If the irrigation was working, we'd be better off. Half of the problem might be gone. But as long as my irrigation, especially in my backyard, I'm now going through the whole thing all over again. It was getting good and now it's worse. That's my thought. Because this is silly. We're hiring people and the irrigation's not working. So you can figure it out.
Sandy, I'm just going to make one comment.
What?
We were so darn aware of the irrigation problems in our community, and it stems from, I could spend an hour with you to literally to explain them, and you're right. And that's what we're trying to do with our Pulte claim, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, but just let me say something. Prior planning prevents poor performance. And I'm just saying that what's the good of hiring 85,000 or whatever it is if we're going to end up kicking ourselves because the irrigation is the whole problem to begin with. So you guys can put it together, and I thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. If you don't mind signing in. Then. Okay, 5 more minutes.
I didn't use up my 3 minutes, did I? I would just like to make a comment about with Sunrise. We had like almost monthly or quarterly meetings with them where they would come in and we could discuss problems and issues. We haven't had any kind of a meeting, a community meeting with Raintree's,
Right.
whatever they call them now.
Anita, if I may say, we're waiting for the updated contracts on this proposal so we can analyze them again, see what the costs are, and we will discuss them much more in detail at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? I'm sorry, you need to stay 10 more minutes in your seats.
We need to make a motion to adjourn.
I second. All in favor? Aye.